When you're working through a recruitment process, your job as a recruiter is to manage risk. And that risk is ensuring that those candidates that you've got going forward for interview take the job if they're offered. But there's 6 key areas where you can manage risk to make sure you're aware of the reasons why candidates might not take the jobs that you're putting them forward for. The first thing is about their activity in the market. How active are they in the market at the moment? And what that means is that if they're interviewing for multiple vacancies, if they're working with the other agencies, they're more likely to have other influences that affects them going forward for your role. To a large extent, this depends on where you found the candidate. Did you find them on a job board, which means they're going to be very active? But also, are they exclusive with you because you recruited them directly for this role? If they're on a job board, they're high risk, and if you found them and they're exclusive, then they're low risk. The second area of risk that you've got to manage is salary expectations. If a candidate's expecting a 15 or 20% pay rise, then they become a high-risk candidate because clients typically start to think twice before candidates are getting a massive pay rise. What you need to do is think about how likely is that candidate to accept a role that's close to the salary that they're on at the moment. The closer to the salary they're on at the moment, the greater the likelihood that they're going to take the vacancy that you've got, and it increases the likelihood of a client being able to surprise them. The third area that you need to manage is really about the type of role that they're seeking. If you find a candidate that's looking for the same job today that they're doing today, they're a great candidate because they're going to be happy with the role. More often than not, you've got a mismatch where candidates are wanting to do new things that are different from what they're doing today. The higher the percentage of what a candidate wants to do that's new, the greater the risk is that the client's not going to be willing to either pay them the salary that they want or take a chance on that candidate because they're going to take too much time to get up to speed. The fourth area where you need to manage risk is really about the demand for that candidate in relation to the supply of candidates. If there's a high demand for a type of candidate but there's loads of them in the market, it's a lot lower risk because the likelihood is candidates can't be as picky with what they want to go forward for. The worst case scenario is when you've got a candidate in really high demand and you know there's not many of them about because they're much more likely to be really picky on the compensation, really picky on the role, and much more dismissive of your efforts to try and find them that opportunity. The more you understand the relationship between supply and demand of candidate availability, the greater your ability to predict when you're going to have issues with a candidate becoming overly picky. The fifth area that you need to think about is about the location of the new company in relation to the existing firm. If someone's moving closer to home, then it's really low risk because everyone's going to want a few extra minutes in their day. But if they're moving 20, 30, 40 minutes further from where they are today, the increased risks associated with that are exponential. And so you need to be crystal clear about where the candidate lives, where they work today, and where this new opportunity is based. And the last area for you to manage risk is really the candidate's motivation to move. And this is the challenge that lots of recruiters get when they source people from LinkedIn or through referrals and recommendations. Because many candidates, before you get to the point of leaving, have to really be in the mindset that I don't like my job and I want to resign. It's an emotional journey that people need to go through. And so when you've got a candidate that's active on a job board, the likelihood is they're very low risk of not moving because they've already done everything they can to move to the mass market. But when they're exclusive and you've activated them, the likelihood is they haven't made the emotional decision yet to leave their firm, so you need to put more effort in making sure that they start selling you on why they like this opportunity and why it's better than where they are at the moment. If you can master all of these 6 areas and start asking more of the questions that you don't want to hear the answers to, you're much more likely to be able to anticipate an issue where a candidate might cause you problems and work to mitigate that to ensure that the candidate not only goes to first interview, second, and accepts the offer, but also starts on the day the client needs them.